Welcome to Living on Crypto. Today I'm joined by Koty and Mary, both of whom are people who are living on crypto, surprise, surprise, or at least to some degree. And yeah, basically today we're going to talk to them, find out what they've been up to, how they're getting their crypto, how they're spending it, and just find out about where they are in the world and what the crypto communities are like. So yeah, kick us off. Mary, Koty, what do you guys do in life is the best first question to ask.
Wow, that's a loaded question, really heavy question. Oh my gosh. So I work as the content creative media associate at BitNob, which is a Bitcoin only company. And I do a lot of other things relating to Bitcoin. I am a Bitcoin only gamer on Twitch. So I play Bitcoin only games. And then I'm also part of the Global Bitcoin Fest team and part of the Satoshi Journal team. So I do a lot of like Bitcoin related, I'm involved in a lot of Bitcoin related projects. So that's basically what I do. It's more like creative focus. So if I'm not writing or editing podcasts, it's interviewing people. So
Nice. Okay. So yeah, you probably do what I'm doing right now, but a lot better. I like it. Okay, sweet.
Wait, maybe they're equally as good. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. And yeah, Koty, what do you do? Please give us the rundown.
Sure, man. I'm Koty, and basically I live on Bitcoin full time. I live in Georgia, next to Russia, not Georgia, the state. And over there, like the way I live with crypto over there is like basically selling P2P for fiat. So it's like the infrastructure is not as good over there. There are some stuff on Bitrefill, but it's like not still like quite yet. Sometimes I use some stuff for like Carrefour and so on. And what I do for a living, it's I work in two Bitcoin only companies, Thunder Games and LM Markets. That's a trading derivative trading company, Bitcoin only. So you won't find any shit kind of over there and so on. And basically what I do in both companies, like I'm the community manager and kind of slash marketer too. So I've been having a great time with both companies, to be honest. Like I'm gonna turn 1 year this December because I started with them last December. So a whole year fully into Bitcoin only, living in crypto kind of style. So yeah, it has been such an amazing ride for me. I feel like lucky.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's definitely a big challenge to start living on Bitcoin, but hey, it's often worth it for various reasons we can go into. How did both of you guys, I mean, Koty first, how did you guys discover like Bitcoin specifically? How did you come across it and end up on this path?
Okay, I have let's say two encounters. One very lightly, and the time I like really sat down to study. The first time, to be honest, was in 2009. I was in high school still. And I remember a friend of mine telling me about mining. Like, let's mine Bitcoin, you can sell it and so on. But I read a little bit, but I think I was either too young or just like things in my country were like really going south, starting to going south. So let's say my focus was in other places. Then the second time when I sat down finally to really understand the topic, it was March 2020. So you can imagine it was like right after the lockdowns. I was working back then in Dubai, and it was a literal lockdown. Like in the apartment, you cannot go out unless you ask for permission, to the police and so on. So being that kind of lockdown is like what I would do. So I was like looking for a place to put my money, my saved wealth, small wealth. and I was looking for, like gold, this token, gold backed, let's say I call it securities as well as like gold backed tokens, because I was like, okay, I don't think I can carry gold with me and so on, because I was understanding that since I moved from Venezuela, I'm originally from Venezuela, so I understood, like, with my own experience, that you cannot carry that much gold with you. It's very unpractical. So I was already like on the way to go to get there. Then I came across an article that I really forgot what was it, but I remember the topic was a comparison between gold and Bitcoin. Then when I understood how the Bitcoin blockchain works and the game theory that comes with it, I understood, like, okay, this is the way to go. Let's I put mostly all my money in there. I was kind of while people were like keeping their cash, I just kind of went all in. I have to admit that I played with some other tokens like XRP and Ethereum and this kind of stuff. And then progressively I was understanding that the fundamentals of Bitcoin is like what makes it, let's say, the make very strong and likely the one that will exist in the future as the base layer of money in the future. Maybe it's what I believe, or maybe it will. But that's the way I came. So basically, I became like a Bitcoiner at the same time as Sailor did. My consider was, going in that time too, but less wealthy.
Wow, only slightly,
Just a tiny bit. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, everyone's got a different story, and yeah, yours sounds like one coming out of practicality as well, right? Yeah, Mary, what about you? How did you come across Bitcoin?
I came across Bitcoin in 2015, actually. So I studied law in the university, and in Nigeria, you do 5 years of law in the university and then 1 year in law school. So I didn't join my course mates that year. So I had a gap year, and my sister, she encouraged me to go into freelance writing. And I had one client who reached out to me asking if I would be open to being paid in Bitcoin. And at that time, I didn't know what Bitcoin was. So I asked my sister, and my sister was like, okay, look, tell them that, yes, you accept Bitcoin. So I just, trusted her, and I was like, okay, yeah, I accept Bitcoin. And then my sister set up my wallet. Then we didn't have Lightning, so everything had to be done on chain. And I got paid. Funnily enough, that year, I think Bitcoin was around $400 and something, and the gig I was paid for was $400 exactly. So I was like, I probably would have been like a very lucky whole coiner, but then because I didn't know what it was, I sold it all. That was 2015.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So like what happened? So sometime around 2017, 2018, I became more serious about my personal finance. So I read all these books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I started doing more research on personal finance. So I was into like stock, shares, and all that. And one day I was just walking home from work, and I was like, the interest rates of all these things don't make sense. Like at the end of the day, the inflation rate will just totally erode all my wealth, and I need to work 2 times harder to get like a substantial amount that will be able to counteract the inflation. And then round about that time, I decided to start, studying about Bitcoin and blockchain, because it was a type of investment at the time for me. Like that's what people were talking about. I should invest in crypto and stuff. So I started doing my research. I understood how the blockchain worked and everything. But then sometime in 2019, 2020, I just had to tell myself that, hey, Mary, like, you can't say that you're into personal finance and that you understand crypto if you do not own any yourself. And so I decided to buy Bitcoin in 2020, on a platform called Luno. And for me, that platform felt a little, difficult. Like it wasn't as smooth or accommodating as I would have liked it, like no shade on Luno. And I just made this like kind of silent prayer that I wish there was a platform that was a lot easier for someone like me, because I'm not a technical person. I'm a very non-technical person. So I needed something that a lot easier that will help me stay consistent with my Bitcoin journey. And so I came across BitNob. It was a product video that was put up, and I came across it when I was scrolling on Twitter at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I came across the product video, downloaded the app, and at that time I had a fintech podcast. So I ran a fintech podcast where I would like review apps and give personal finance advice. So I downloaded it as a way of like as something for content for my podcast. And before I knew it, I was like hooked on BitNob and how easy it was. And I was so excited that I was able to buy Bitcoin easily. I set up my savings plan in Bitcoin. I was like, this is so cool. And that excitement made me like record a podcast episode about BitNob. And then BitNob, the company, they saw my podcast, and then I interviewed the CEO. And before I knew it, like they asked if I would be open to, running their own podcast. And I'm like, sure, cool. Like I love podcasts, and it would be really amazing to work with a company like BitNob that I was very excited about. So I've been in BitNob for a year. It was a year in October. So now I'm like super bullish on Bitcoin. And there's something that the COO of BitNob once said at one of our stand-up meetings, where he said, how can we make BitNob a lifestyle app? And I literally took that literally, and I was like, how can I make Bitcoin my lifestyle? And I've been on the quest ever since then to find ways I can incorporate Bitcoin into my daily life. And I came across, like, that led me to a lot of Bitcoin platforms, Bitrefill being one of them. And now I just share my list of Bitcoin lifestyle platforms with anybody so that they could incorporate Bitcoin in their daily life, whether it's by reading, listening to podcasts, exercising, whatever it is. I have the list.
Nice. Okay, so you got like a full list of people. Hey, we can hopefully link to it or something on the podcast / YouTube when it comes out on our end, so people can see that list. Always good to get some decent resources, right?
Sure.
So both you guys are like became most into it like around that early 2020 phase, right? It sounds like with Michael Saylor, as Koty said, which is kind of cool. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, like I was originally into crypto and stuff, so it's similar stories and like finding out about it, not so sure, and then like kind of going with it and getting into it later on, and kind of realizing the Bitcoin, why it's so important and why it aligns with my personal values and views on finance, and then kind of sticking with it from there. Like when you guys obviously you guys are earning Bitcoin, like for example with yourself from like streaming and obviously like Koty, you said you're full-time on Bitcoin. Once you've got that Bitcoin, I think something a lot of people struggle with is once they have the Bitcoin, like how do I how do I use this? How do not everyone accepts it? How do I worry about taxation? Where do I store it? All this kind of stuff. So how do you guys kind of use that? Like once you receive it, like you don't have to give me like any specific details for security purposes, but like how are you, like roughly how are you storing it? How are you are you just taking it out into fiat and spending what you need to in fiat and keep Bitcoin, or are you using like Bitcoin cards or whatever? Like tell me through how you guys are actually using it and what tools people out there can use they might not know about to actually live on Bitcoin.
Who should go first? Is it Koty or myself?
I think I'll go first. Okay. I think for the taxation part is like the first thing that touches everyone. I've been living also kind of like gypsy style. So that's why, let's say, I've been living like that because I can arbitrage taxation in that way. It's possible, it's like this kind of digital nomad way, but it's tiresome. So I think I'll find the best, let's say, taxation friendly places that I can. Let's see how it goes. But so far where I am, let's say, kind of based, uh, most of the part of the year is like it's very crypto friendly. So as long as you're a natural person and you're like passing by and so on, you can even trade it like legally inside, and nothing will. There's no taxation over there as long as you. I mean, if you do it officially, as long as you're not linked to, let's say, terrorist organization and stuff like that. But so far is that's the way. So basically, I'm arbitraging tax codes and countries. But yeah, it's very tiresome. I don't think I will stay like this for a long time. And
Gotcha.
the way I use Bitcoin, um, well, the way I use Bitcoin is mostly if I have to pay something online, I try as hard as I can to find the way to pay it in Lightning, even if it's possible in Lightning. So I've used Bitrefill more than a couple of times for mostly like friends in Venezuela, to be honest. And for myself, um, I've used services like for Purse.io or Pay with Moon and stuff like that when I needed to like refill like a virtual card in like to pay for online stuff. For example, I have a website or a land page that's like for Koty. Let's call it like my CV in a way. It's called Koty.ai.u. It's too funny. And I paid it with Lightning. I pay the whole thing with Lightning. And also I went in April, around April, May, to Poland with a team. And from Poland I went to France to visit my other colleagues from Eller Markets over there. And I bought the flight ticket with Lightning using Travala.com, for example. I hope they stay like that and they stay with Lightning payments and they don't back it up. But so far, it worked very well. It was fast. I mean, the payment was confirmed, like right away because it was a Lightning payment. It was a quite substantial payment, more than almost $200. So it wasn't like micro payments, and it went through. And I got my ticket in like 1 minute after that. So that has been my like biggest Lightning/Bitcoin purchase online, has been the flight ticket, and I think it's a really big deal because even on that side you can buy even like stays as well in hotels and so on. So the more I can find, for example, with Purse.io or like Pay with Moon or stuff like that, I use it. If I can pay for stuff P2P where I'm staying, I use it like a couple of times. Mostly P2P for me is like to get fiat because most of the time, yeah, people are still not getting it, so I have to get fiat, and I try to get it as P2P as I can. And well, so what I do is that I set kind of a give me a second.
Right. It sounds
Sorry.
like.
So
Oh,
so what
sorry.
I do, yeah, I'm back. Sorry. The thing is like I'm not alone. I'm like sharing stuff. So okay, so what I do to, let's say, to make a budget. So when I get paid in Bitcoin, I have an idea of like what's the budget for the next month is. So I start looking like if I really need fiat for something. Mostly I still pay for the places I stay. Sometimes if I can pay it as I told you in Travala, yes, I do it. Otherwise I get the fiat for for the living expenses like place and food most of the time. And then I try to pay, I try to keep it in like in a wallet. I have like a hot wallet for Bitcoin purchases as well. So I hold some fiat that I sell my Bitcoin for in a budget, like right at the beginning of the month. Then I have some Bitcoin on the side in this hot wallet I have for Bitcoin expenses I can do. And then I keep stashing my Bitcoin away in the cold storage. That's basically what I do. And so far it has been working great for me. Sometimes when I'm lucky, I'm like $100 up. Sometimes I'm $300 down. So it's a roller coaster still. But if you manage in the way I do, I think it's I don't deprive myself of anything. I'm not like, yeah, I'm selling all my chairs or stuff like that. If I really want to do stuff, I just go do it if I can, like normally. I'm not a really big fan of credit and so on, so I don't use it and so on. But having the freedom to do my job anywhere and get it paid in Bitcoin and being like aware on how to do your budget, and you don't have to be like super disciplined in it, like not a penny or not a cent will be, like you can let yourself enjoy the time, doing stuff. So just I have those three budgets or three wallets, let's say. The thing that I'm gonna put in fiat, Bitcoin expenses, cold storage, basically.
Nice. Okay. Yes, you've got a little system set up. So yeah, earning Bitcoin, what you need into fiat, some into Bitcoin hot wallet to spend, and then the rest goes into savings. So it's kind of like
exactly.
how a lot of people, I guess would. But yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. Like people with fiat put money into savings each month and then keep money in like a spending account each month. So you're just kind of having an extra bit of like, Bitcoin spending, fiat spending, and then Bitcoin savings. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and the good thing about having a hot wallet for Bitcoin spending is two things. The first one is you use Bitcoin. I mean, you use it as a exchange, medium of exchange. The second thing is that when you have your cold storage and you know that that's for saving, like your own savings, you don't feel the same kind of pain when you spend this, let's say, Bitcoin for spending wallets. Let's call it that way. So you use it, you don't feel like, oh, the sats, one sat tomorrow will be a whole $1,000,000. You feel like you're spending for the right thing you are buying or you're spending for in that time. And then the fiat, I try to calculate a little bit over my budget, so I have enough for the rest of the month, so I don't have to be selling all the time.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. No, that's smart. And yeah, Mary, what about you? How do you kind of handle things, I suppose?
Oh my gosh, I really love Koty's system. I think that's really cool.
That'll be a new system.
Yeah, I know. I think I need to like copy that. But
Right?
so for me, I think mine's a little different. Unfortunately in Nigeria, like it's not everywhere accepts Bitcoin. So but I pray that we get there really soon. So what I usually do, I think most of the Bitcoin I get are spent in like two different ways. One, I save it. So I currently have a Bitcoin savings plan. Actually, I have 6 savings plans running concurrently. Each saving plan is for a specific purpose. But the two prominent ones are my Bitcoin savings challenge. So I've been saving $1 of Bitcoin every day for the past, I'm trying to work towards the end of the year. So I started in January 2022. So I'm saving $1 every day just to, let people know that it's possible to save at least $1 of Bitcoin. Like you have no excuse. And then I have my usual savings that I set aside. But the second, then one of them is my retirement fund. So I have a retirement fund set up. So like I use BitNob. So BitNob, what it does is that it automatically takes, it automatically saves in Bitcoin for me. So I don't have to worry about it or think about it. I just set how much the app should set aside. So I think everybody or every Bitcoiner should have a Bitcoin retirement fund. So I have that running. Currently, the way I structured the retirement fund was to more or less put it a little bit above the Nigerian recognized pension fund. So it will be like, I want to prove that by the time I'm 65 years old, which is retirement age, that Bitcoin retirement fund will be like more valuable than the normal pension fund. So I I'm not yet 65. Once I get there, I'll let you guys know. But I'm sure it's definitely going to be worth it. And then the second thing I use my Bitcoin on is really to pay for certain things. Like I have my streaming platform, Melon app, which I which I pay with Bitcoin. I use Pay with Moon. I use my BitNob app to fund my Pay with Moon card, and then use that Pay with Moon card to pay for the streaming platform. Then I also do a couple of other, regular payments, subscriptions, and then also send remittances to my family in the Philippines. So I'm half Filipino. My mom's relatives are there, and it's sending Bitcoin to them is more convenient than sending the local currency. The first time I and my family tried that, it took like literally 5 days for the money to get there, and we had to look for someone in Nigeria who's a Filipino that was on their way to the Philippines. We had to change the money into dollar, hand it over to the guy, and wait until he arrived in the Philippines and deposit the money into his bank account before my family got the money. So it was really insane. But now, like, I and my sister were able to get our cousin on to get like a Bitcoin wallet. So now it's a lot easier. I think the first time that I used Bitcoin to send to my family members was using Bitrefill. So in the Philippines, we have a mobile money wallet called, oh my gosh, I've forgotten the name. I don't remember. Gcash, right? So it's called Gcash. So I bought the Gcash voucher on Bitrefill, and I was able to send that voucher to my cousin. So we sent a little bit as a test just to see if it works. And he was able to buy food with the money he got using the voucher on Bitrefill. So, and then other stuff I use my Bitcoin for, sometimes I do like really interesting stuff. I remember buying one of my friends a cup of coffee from Starbucks all the way from here. I've used it to send buy Uber Eats vouchers for a couple of my friends. I know I've celebrated a couple of my friends' birthdays that way. So it's been really cool, being able to still make impact right from here in Nigeria. So there's this really funny perception that Africa is really poor, which, it depends on where you're looking at it or which perspective you look at it from. But I really believe that through Bitcoin, we can show them that we can actually do something amazing stuff for people outside our country. So it's kind of like breaking the stereotype. So I was really happy that Bitcoin helped me achieve that. Then as for Bitcoin earnings from streaming on Twitch, so I have this QR code. I used to use the Zebedee QR code. I use the Albi QR code now, so people can send donations over using just scanning the QR code, the Albi QR code on my Twitch, and all the gaming earnings was actually given back to the gaming community. So that's what I do use my earnings for. So I do giveaways, I run mini tournaments on my live stream. So it goes back to the gaming community. I hope to do other bigger projects where I can give more Bitcoin to them, but that's in the works. But anything gaming related was always given back to the gaming community. I really have huge faith in the Bitcoin gaming community, because I believe that we can like spread Bitcoin adoption in the most subtle and fun way through Bitcoin gaming. So that's that. Then, you know, also like supporting other Bitcoin projects. I do that with my Bitcoin as well. And yeah, so I still have a fiat job. So the fiat job is what, you know, caters for like living expenses and all that. So that is how I was able to compartmentalize my Bitcoin earnings.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair enough. And I think that yeah, I think a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people bounce backwards and forwards between like earning 100% Bitcoin, 50%. But you know, what I mean, like I've bounced before from earning like 100% in Bitcoin, and then now I think I'm actually right. Currently, I'm 100% fiat for visa purposes and tax purposes. I'm a little bit confused because I moved to Brazil not long ago, so I've kind of gone back to fiat, and then I'll hopefully go back to Bitcoin. So yeah, I bounce around a lot myself, and there's lots of different techniques and tactics for handling that that I've come across. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I think the Pay with Moon is an interesting one as well, because it's like again, these kind of single use, and it's really quick and easy for online purchases, which is great. And then yeah, like hearing about sending abroad, like using Gcash is a cool idea through Bitrefill. Like you know, I remember, well, like I've got gifts for relatives who are in other countries by just getting them gift cards and from that country and sending it to them. So that's kind of cool too. When it comes to the gaming community and Bitcoin, yeah, I can see for sure how it's, because you see, one of the things that sucked for me was seeing Axie Infinity and like people kind of getting caught up in that. And then some people made some good money from it, which is awesome for them, like especially people who were in countries that, you know, they were earning way more by just playing this game than actually working, which is awesome for them. But then a lot of people sadly like lost money doing that too, because the token collapsed, unsurprisingly, in value. So yeah, with Bitcoin, there's obviously like Thunder games, there's Zebedee games, there's different options to kind of win some Bitcoin. It feels like it's not quite to that level where you can like live on playing those games, but it's like the fun of playing the game and then also earning some Bitcoin whilst having a good time. So it's like a win-win situation. So yeah, I can definitely see how the gaming community can easily embrace Bitcoin and start to understand it and use it, and hopefully we can get better over time with that.
But
yeah,
I think it's not just gaming though. Like it's not just playing games. There's so much more to it. Like creating gaming content could be another stream of income, right? Like I just released a Bitcoin gaming podcast, which, you know, and there were really amazing listeners who sent me sats via fountain.fm. So like it's not just playing games, it's also creating gaming content. So that's what I'm trying to do, to like show that it's possible to do something in the Bitcoin gaming ecosystem. Like if you look at esports and how esports has developed, like there are people who just all they do is talk about esports. They're newscasters, I think they call them shoutcasters, commentators. Like they're not necessarily playing the games, they're not necessarily the ones going into the championship, but they're supporting the ecosystem using the skills that they have. And so I think with time, like people who play Bitcoin games will also get to realize that, oh, there's so much more to just playing the game. There's developing the game. There is writing about the game. There's having podcasts about Bitcoin games, having a YouTube channel about Bitcoin games, which is what I'm doing as well. There's writing about Bitcoin games. There's like having a newsletter about Bitcoin games. I've written a couple of articles or posts on Stacker News, which also got some sats. So like it's just getting people to see the immense possibilities, right? And I don't mean like a gaming company giving sponsorship. I mean like using Bitcoin tools like the Lightning QR code or like, you know, fountain.fm to just push this content out there and earn sats using those tools.
Yeah, one of the things that differ from, let's say, Bitcoin gaming and crypto gaming from the Axis example is that what they try to do is that keeping people there playing to try to get some whales to pump their tokens and so on. I mean, I'm not gonna go that far into the morality or the flawed fundamentals of the economics in that system, But the only thing I can really say is that it incentivized a very, um, let's say, not sustainable behavior in people, like looking for this kind of applications slash games, because instead of looking for games to pass the time and win some prizes that we put there as a reward, like as a engagement tool to keep them coming, they were looking literally for a way of earning a living just by playing a single game, which it could potentially happen. But I think is like people were like expecting to do something simple as bouncing a ball, for example, like a Bitcoin bounce, and make a living out of it. I'm like, hey, bro, you're like literally just tapping a screen, you know, and and there is nothing wrong like just tapping the screen. The thing is like, okay, what about if you tap the screen better than others? That's a different kind of way. So you go into competitions and so on. So what we're looking at is like, as Mary well said, you have these esports games and tournaments and so on that they do give people for now. Esports are in fiat in dollars, but what about dreaming of a future that esports rewards or like the tournament prize is paid out in Bitcoin, for example, and stuff like that? So potentially people could make a living out of it. The thing is not the way Axis sold this to the audience, to the market, because it's totally unsustainable. Because they were trying to mix the normal, let's say, mobile slash current free to play kind of games, but at the same time you had to put some money up front. So they created like these weird incentives, and we know about the pumpnomics of this kind of tokens. So yeah, it was not surprising that the collapse happened, and that's something we were like, looking at very carefully, not trying to bash on the stuff, but because who knows, like maybe they could like fix it on the way, but no, it didn't happen. So now we're taking like looking at these flawed incentives, this kind of stuff. So we're like working towards creating platforms that could bring what I just said about, like, for example, esports and these kind of new ways of people earning their living out of Bitcoin gaming. And that's one of the reasons I brought Mary with me today. So you can learn that there are people who are grinding their way up by their own set, on their own, to build precedents, to build platforms, to build stuff that people can feel that, okay, there is an opportunity here. So I hope that this example gets replicated in Spanish, in Portuguese, in many other stuff. And well, that's basically what we have been doing in Thunder. It's like trying to take these errors and very flawed incentives and mistakes that were made, to not copy them and create and to create yeah. And I say that, I mean, I make an emphasis on this because it's very tempting for companies and investors to go and try to push this narrative. In the beginning, it might be, let's call it, lucrative, but at Thunder, we are like, of course, we're a business. We want to make money and so on, but also we want to be sustainable. Like, we want to build our platform, we want to build our brand, and be in 10 years as one of the companies who was bringing like literally Bitcoin esports to the world and this kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, we don't have crazy amount of users as what these kind of games used to have when they were like at their peak of relevance, because the rewards tend to be a little bit lower, because the rewards come from the, you know, the revenue coming from, for now, ad revenue, which is not ideal, we know that, but it's the way we can make it free to play. But also we're like experimenting with other ways to monetize that can be like fair for everyone who plays our game and our future players. Oh yeah, I think
Yes.
that we can say.
Well, as I say, it sounds like yeah, there's a lot of potential. I think it's interesting seeing things like having Lightning being able to be, so people be able to stream and then get paid like you know, like a sat per second or whatever. Those are options too, right? Like having things set up and people building systems like that, like with Fountain, where you can get paid for listening to specific advert clips on the app and things like that. It's possible to switch that around and do the same thing with gaming, or even have a similar thing with like streaming. You could potentially even have like a plugin of Twitch and then kind of have it set up on your own site so that people watching someone on Twitch would like receive sats, for example, or give sats, or both. So for example, if you were like a Twitch streamer
And
who had
also
some
artists,
money,
you know, imagine.
well, yeah. So
Also artists like selling their stuff like for Bitcoin companies, and then they could, who knows, maybe the artist, let's say there is something that an artist make for a game, the game gives the recognition. Let's take the idea of NFTs, for example, like, you know, like they wanted to get royalties and so on. Who knows that what players might like the art of a specific artist, and they like that guy, and they can be found over there, you know, and also still like keep getting like Bitcoin tips, or like even shares of what people could potentially buy in future stuff. I mean, I'm dreaming of, there are so many ways that things can be monetized without the monetization being the center of what brings people to a certain kind of game, for example, or event.
no, I understand. I think
That's what I, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the focus is on Bitcoin being programmable, hard, secure money, right? So like the focus is on like
Yeah.
the game, and then also just using the best form of money for the purposes
Exactly,
of that
exactly.
game or what you're doing, rather than like the game has its specific own token it made tied to it, and therefore you have to have that token. It's just like, hey, we're a game, we want to do some cool monetization or giving back or whatever. Let's use the hardest, most and a nicely programmable form of money, for example, with Lightning, like stream sats per second, that kind of stuff. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I guess that an interesting question for both of you, I guess like a good final question, actually, I suppose, would be what would you say are the one sort of like, not necessarily a mistake, but I'll say, yeah, one biggest mistake or thing that you would want, that you've done or come across, that you'd say to people, hey, like, you know, don't do what I did, you know, or don't do what this person did. Like, what's the one thing where you know, advice for people out there, where you say, you know, watch out for this, or, you know, don't do this? What would you say that would be?
I would say to put in few words is like build a game, or because for example at Thunder we're still like building actively the whole, let's say, Thunder experience. It's like what you see now of Thunder is just the tip of the iceberg. So we're doing more stuff on the, you know, in the on the back. But I would say like this: do not have a token and then build a game. It's like, okay, I have a game that has this token. No, it's not like build a game, or like think of platforms where you can also like legally if you're gonna go like to the wider audience, because if you want to stay as P2P and niche as you can also build like APKs, and you know. But if you want to really reach a big audience through Google App Store and Apple and so on, build platforms that you can legally use Bitcoin, and like listen to the audience at the same time you are building, so you can see like really what they want. Of course, most people will want to earn more money or earn more Bitcoin, but also they will tell you like what they want to see in the games, like for the game sake itself. Listen to that, and then like uh, don't be greedy with trying to push a lot of Bitcoin in everything you do. Just keep it like as a reward. I like as Koty, I believe that keeping Bitcoin as a reward or as a prize is better for both, because you don't create the flow incentive of people just looking for your game as a way to earn a living, and also it will keep you like sustainable until you find the way uh, to make even more money, to grow even more, because it's still very new. Like in the in the history of gaming, like Bitcoin rewards games are still kind of new or niche. So there is no clear way to great monetization from that part, because also like most of our audience is like crypto slash Bitcoin people, and there's still some resistance from the gaming community, like let's say Minecraft or this kind of stuff, because they have been, they have all these tokens collapsing and so on. They want to stay away from that, and they think that cryptos and Bitcoin are like these tokens are the same thing as Bitcoin. So it's something I've been like working on. Basically, I think I have to become a gamer and then get into it, like to show that is not the case. But if someone wants to know, one mistake is like, do not have a token and then a game. Build your game, your platform, and then think the best way that you can make it fair and and sustainable for you with Bitcoin, of course. Because
Gotcha. Okay.
the token will happen. It's like people don't care about that. They just will trade in and try to get as much fiat as they can. While in the
Okay.
case of Bitcoin, people save it.
So yeah, build the game for the game's purpose, and don't get drawn in by tokens. Okay, interesting. And yeah, Mary, your turn. Go for it.
I look forward to when Koty becomes a gamer. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cool.
I have to practice a lot.
Twitch is waiting for you, Koty.
That's why I bought my mask. You will see. I'll do my quote unquote face reveal soon. It will be a very cool mask.
I look forward to it. So for me, something that people shouldn't do. So I'm gonna take it from the creator side. I think if you have an idea of something, don't overthink it. Just get started and try it out, and then learn as you're going. I've always wanted to do YouTube for the past, oh my gosh, I don't know, like maybe 6-7 years, maybe even more than. And I just started YouTube like about a couple of weeks ago. And now that I'm putting up a couple of videos, or I have 3 now, like I'm like, why have I been delaying all this while? Like if I had started several years ago, I'd have grown with the platform and be able to make impact. And then, even if I changed my niche along the way, like, because definitely I'm a totally different person than I was 7 years ago. It's okay, right? It's just one of those things. We can't stay static. We change and we evolve. So our audience and our voice will evolve as well. So for those who maybe have a YouTube channel, but are like worried of changing or making it Bitcoin only, like, that you shouldn't be worried at all. Those who will stay. Those who won't. Like, it's totally fine. There's this thing that one of my favorite money coaches always says, like, one bad client takes the space of 3 good ones. So when you apply it to your regular life, like, one bad follower takes the space of 3 good followers. So like, it doesn't matter if they go, like, better ones will come. And then secondly, like, another example is, like, in January of this year, I had the idea of going on Twitch to talk about Bitcoin, right? But I didn't start until June. And the only reason why I didn't start was because I held myself back. So, like, advice to any creator, out there. Don't hold yourself back. Just put your content out there, and it can be as messy or as crazy as anything can be, and that's totally fine. Like, what's important is for you to put yourself out there. Once you put yourself out there, you realize that it was all in your head. And then just create content and just use that as a creative outlet, allow yourself to get creative. And the Bitcoin space is extremely accommodating. I got a lot of support from the Bitcoin space and learned a lot, and they've inspired me a lot as well. So you have a support system in the Bitcoin space, so you shouldn't be afraid to just go out there and create.
Awesome. Yeah, some awesome answers from both of you guys. I guess for my one, I'm going to give the audience one as well, and it'll be from a completely different thing as well. So my one is like, when you're earning or you've got crypto or whatever, don't get tempted to try and like put the crypto to work in some yield generating platform or something. Like I've done it, right? Like I originally did it more as an experiment, like quite a few years ago. But like, at first you think, oh, okay, I'm going to get 3,000% if I do this and this every day, and I'll be able to get, but then the problem is you're getting 3,000% on this token that's been made up. And then usually a lot of it, if not all of it, or some of it will get locked up for like a year. And then that year becomes 3 years and 5 years. So, and also, so you put this money in, say you put $500 in, you end up having, 3,000% on this token, sure. But the token's value is going to drop so much over that period of time. That like actually you've lost money no matter what. So that happens a lot to people. And it happened to me. I think only because I was willing to just experience an experiment at the time. I think I knew that was going to happen. But like this stuff happens. So don't get too. My advice is like, hey, don't get too enthusiastic about putting your money to work for you. Yes, you can do that by very gradually and carefully, but you don't want to start chasing 3,000%. And realistically, you should try and stick to keeping your Bitcoin in your own hands, not your keys, not your coins, which has very much been shown by the latest FTX issues, BlockFi, Celsius, and many more collapses. So that would be my kind of parting message for everyone out there listening. I say thanks so much to you guys for coming on. I think we've definitely had a good chat about how you guys are managing your Bitcoin, your fiat, and how you're living on it, and kind of the way that gaming has impacted your lives and how it's going to become better, and how you guys are going to help make it become better. So that's pretty awesome. If you guys want to give us your Twitters and things like that before we head out, so people know where they can find out and more about you guys and hear more from you, that'd be great.
Sure. My Twitter is Koty with capital K _Auditore with capital A. It's my main way to contact me for whoever would like to. And the last thing I would love to say is that I hope that Mary and you getting more close in touch about, who knows, talking about what Bitrefill and Bitnob can do, can show to the world what Bitcoin can change people's life in just simple ways of, like what she said, she sent a gift card to buy food in the Philippines with Bitrefill, this kind of stuff. So hopefully I'll see more of that kind of stuff happening, and I'm hopeful for the future.
Awesome. Yeah, fingers crossed. Who knows? We'll definitely have a chat over the next couple of days. That's for sure. And then Mary, where can we find you online?
All right. Well, for those who are listening, please follow Koty Auditore and spam his DM and tell him that he should start a Twitch channel.
I have too much spam already.
Well, you're gonna follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Mary_Imasuen. That's @MARY_IMASUEN. Don't mind me, I'm a podcaster, so I spell like everything. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's the same handle on Instagram and TikTok, I think. And then Mary Imasuen on YouTube and Twitch.
Oh yeah. Also, if you have TikTok, follow Thunder Games on TikTok. We're making cool content over there. You can see what can be done with even simple games as ours, because ours are like casual games. You can still make cool content and share it and bring the the mission of changing the world for the better in a simple way. You don't have to be a hero, like a superhero. Just one step at a time is fine.
Yeah, exactly. They're like Thunder Games TikTok is so good. Like you'll love the content in there. And then follow the
Yeah.
Thunder Games team. Like they're really cool. I know Des has really nice content as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that the content on TikTok is being made by a colleague of mine in Venezuela. So I'm like trying to bring more people into this economy and so on, like, and trying to get married, get different people like to create stuff to push themselves to even, who knows, become part of Thunder or like do their own projects. And that's it. That's what we have to show off.
I like it. I appreciate it,
Yay.
guys. And yeah, I can tell you guys are both super passionate about like Bitcoin gaming specifically as well. So yeah, and I'm sure everyone listening can tell that too. So thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it for both of you guys, and for everyone out there listening. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep on listening. Everyone out there, hope you're having an amazing rest of your day, week, month, year. We'll see you soon. Keep being happy and keep on buying some Bitcoin. Take care.